Hello and welcome back. So this is a follow-up on my most recent announcement that I'm getting more involved in more historical stuff in the interim between the editions of Warhammer and other game systems that I've been playing. I'm not leaving that stuff behind, as I mentioned, but I wanted to give it a shot and take a look at some more historical battles. So some of the things I've been looking at are World War II in either 15 or 20 mil scale, and I've decided to stay with 15 because I can use a lot of the Flames of War stuff in addition to Plastic Soldier Company. I have a ton of Plastic Soldier Company models that I'm using. I'm going to be using the Stug box, 5 in a box, 20 to 25 bucks actually. You know, Allied half tracks. Let's see, Panzer IVs. I've got some Tigers and Panthers. Great value for infantry. Really good size comparison for things like Flames of War, if you already have Flames of War, and just a really good value. I mean, they tend to be a little bit more, a little less beefy than the Flames of War versions of their infantry, but I really believe that this system is this plastic company is Plastic Soldier Company is what it's called, has a really good, more realistic proportion with their models. Their heads are not overly big, they're not overly thick. They may be a little bit thinner, but I think that's a little more realistic. But even though I'm using the Battleground group, you can use, again, they're compatible with the Flames of War Battleground, I believe, miniature line. So I actually picked up, and you can see some of them here. These are from the starter set that just came out, the plastic starter set. And I've got a Stug that I'm in the middle of building. Actually, this is not. This is a Stug from 3 from the recent Flames of War starter set. And this is one of the Shermans. I think it's supposed to be English Sherman. And I just picked up 15 mil, and it's just in the process. And you may not look like it's the same proportion, but you know, when it's built up, I already have lined up the models to see how they're just about the same identical size. They have just a little bit of different mold or some different lines and thickness. And I even have, yeah, here's one of the M10 Wolverine that I'm working on. I've even magnetized the turret, which I'm going to be doing with a lot of them. I haven't done the Shermans yet, and I've got a bunch more Shermans coming in. So these are going to be all work in progress. But this is great. I think if you're looking to start and you don't already have like a Flames of War collection, you can absolutely use Flames of War for Battleground. It's highly effective. And I would suggest picking up, and I'll just give a shout out, because look, I'm not trying to oppose Flames of War here. I think it's a great system. I'm just not looking to play it right now. And although I will play it, I like the Battleground rules. This is a great box. This is a recent starter box. It comes with a tremendous amount of stuff. It'll come with over 70 German plastic troops, 2-pack 40 guns. That's great. 3 Stugs. Those are the Stugs. This is Stug right here. Really nice model, easy to put together. And 8 other tanks. So it's coming with 11 tanks, and I forgot to mention 32 U.S. paratroopers. So these are supposed to be British armor, some paratroopers U.S., and all of this is German. So you get a really good German starter set, and a great. I'm actually using the 6 Shermans as U.S. Shermans. I'm just not going to build them as with a 72 mil or even 105 mil options. I'm going to build them and, you know, up armor them with sandbags and stuff, and I'm of course going to use the paratroopers, and then I'm going to trade away these Fireflies because I'm not going to build a British force. I'm just going to cut some corners and make some decisions on what I can, what I will and will not play. But this is an excellent box. It's like between 60 and 70 bucks depending on where you find it, and it comes with ready-made, basically 2 good starter armies that you can use for either Flames of War, which is obviously what it's meant for, or Battleground. I'm sorry for the glare. It even comes with this awesome, you know, objective, which is a V1 rocket. I'm trying not to get the big glare, but I want to get a picture of it. You can use, if you take a look, you know, anybody who's familiar with Flames of War can see these bases with multiple infantrymen on them. The thing with Battleground is you can use this, and as just like with Flames of War, as guys have been plucked off, you can put a little small die to indicate how many are left or how many have been defeated. In Battleground, though, and this works better for 20 mil, you actually can have individual guys that you can add to the unit. So you can have one more of these guys on a small round base by itself and just add to it, because you can build the unit that's a little bit more complicated than just 4 or 6 that are on the base. And what that allows you to do is pluck off the casualties if they're magnetized to one of these bases, or if you have an extra guy off to the side, you can pluck him first, or he can join the unit. There's a lot more mix and match that you can do than you can do in Flames of War. And that's why you can still use these, and typically with Flames of War, you need a lot more variance on your models, because you're going to build a static base like this, or like this, or like this, and that's going to be what the troops are on that base. And you can still do that with BattleGroup. But with BattleGroup, my idea is to take a little washer and use that as the base, and I'm going to put that where it can be magnetized onto these flat group bases for ease of use and moving around. And of course, I'll flock it all, and you'll see the little circular outline between each of these guys. But you could suspend a little disbelief, because some of them, look, they have bases already. A little more variant in what the basing looks like is not going to really hurt anybody. But that way, I can actually create maybe less of these, but I have more options to play. And if I play bigger games, I'll just need more of them. And there will be some that I will just keep on these bases and model them that way. Like, for instance, the bazooka troop, or maybe a sniper group. Any kind of group, maybe even a command group. I'll probably build them just like you build the Flames of War one, where they're permanently put on there, and I won't have the option to pull off a magnet. But I'm going to build at least half my troops. They're going to be, again, on these tiny washers, just a little bit more of a circle. And I'll just leave that as an indent into these bases so that I can put one on or take one off. And if I want to create a different type of an option on a group, I can. Because that is very much what BattleGroup is about. You can there's a lot of diversity in how you build the armies. And where again, this is the rule book, and here's the scenarios. There's 4 scenario books that I'm aware of. They're out now. There's Overlord, which is from Normandy on. There's Fall of the Reich, which is the latter part of the war, as more of the Russians, the U.S., the Brits, they were all starting to close in on Germany, and Germany's got just trying to hang on. But this is also a great book, because this is where everybody starts bringing out all the crazy toys. There's certainly aircraft involved in these books as well, but I would hold off on doing aircraft, and I'm going to hold off on doing aircraft till I get more familiar with the system. But let's take a look at these books. Now, again, this is a source book. They're beautiful hardcover. These run about 45 or 50 bucks, and they're incredible quality. Okay, they're just beautiful quality with great pictures all the way throughout. Some of them are actual pictures from World War II, black and whites. So this one takes place, again, latter part of the war. This is more of a mid to late war. And then there's one that's Barbarossa, which takes place, I think that's Poland. So the invasion of Poland, so that's more early war. And then there's Kursk, which is the original early book, which is the Western Front. And there's another one that's rumored to come out, Africa Corps. So, of course, that takes place in Africa. And so this one, again, is my favorite between these two. I don't know if I'm going to be picking up Barbarossa necessarily, or Kursk, but let's just take a look at this. I mean, it's just great pictures, awesome. This is of a actual battle with the Normandy invasions. These are actual pictures of the battles, but then you have some great World War II pictures to actually show from the actual events. And then it starts off with a little bit of history, so you can understand what went on during those days. But here, let me switch this over. But then it switches over to the actual scenarios. And what it does is, while you have the mini rule book, or if you have the main rule book in Kursk, it'll start telling you how you can build out your armies for the particular settings, for the particular invasions of the beach, or when you get further on for some generic scenarios inland. So, for instance, here's like a British 6th Airborne Division battle group. You would have certain point range and various options and upgrades. So you might be upgrading your 3-man unit headquarters, where you would maybe put it into a scout car for additional points. So you have a lot of these options. And then for infantry units, for example, you'd have what it encompasses and how many points it would be. and what the upgrades are if you want to add, say, replace small arms with some machine guns, or 2 men with a 2-inch mortar for a light mortar team. It'll tell you what the compositions are. This should not be anything too unfamiliar for anybody who's, again, played any other 15 mil game or has played Flames of War. Again, I just believe that this gives you a lot more diversity and a lot more flexibility. And it's not about, look, when you have a Sherman tank in this game, an A1 Sherman tank from early war, M4A1, it's an M4A1. It's not a special character. You're not going to be fielding a M10 with Audie Murphy. You're not going to have Patton. This may be appealing to some people. Here we go. There's the Wolverine. Just love the tank destroyer. Not sure I'd want to be in one with the top open, but so here's an amphibious assault battle group. Now you could take the units in the scenarios that are in this book. This is actually not a scenario. This is just how would you build this particular type of a battle group, and you don't have to build it in any one particular way. It says here are the options to make up your points. You need to have a command group, and when you open up and you buy certain groups, it opens up the ability to get others. So if you get like a tank, some tank units, you'll be able to build off. You'll be able to get certain X number of support or reconnaissance units, and so on. So and it gives you a certain battle ring when you get those various different points. But it'll give you American Airborne battle group with all the different rules that involve that through this time period with upgrades. So some of them you can add on tanks to the listed number of groups for X number of points, or you can upgrade one turret, for instance, to a 76 from a 75 mil. So there's rules for all those different variations, but again, they're not a specific special character. You have a 76 millimeter Sherman, it's a 76 millimeter Sherman. If it's a unit of them, it's a unit of them. It's not a specific character. And I like that. I don't need, the uber special, powers of special, of the take one only unique type of unit and have that be such a huge advantage over everybody else. Here's a great look at the American amphibious battle group, hitting the shore with on Omaha Beach, and all different rules for landing craft and for the actual invasion and what would encompass just all the different options if you wanted to take a battle group in that during that particular setting. And you could probably take for just this, there's so many options. You probably could play games just with this, like American amphibious assault battle group. You probably play a dozen different versions of this game and make just within the structure of what's here and decide a lot of different ways to build your list. You're not constrained to exactly a list for this scenario. It just gives you all the different options. And then we get to further inland, the Germany army in Normandy. So this is going to talk about the German army and its composition. But what I want to do is I want to get a little further in so we can see, because this will be this version as well for in Panzer Rossette's battle group, and all their options. I think Germany probably has the most meat in this book. But then here, so in the main book, you have maybe 4 or 5 scenarios that it gives you. Generic scenarios line up and fight with these particular various structures of how the board is or whatnot with certain goals in mind. Here's where you can actually play not only a campaign for this particular time in the war, but you can also play some generic scenarios that you can line up. So this, if you wanted to mimic one of the beachheads, one of the assaults, it shows you how you can do that. Same thing here, Bloody Omaha. It tells you a lot of history about this stuff too, if you want to learn about how it was done and what was done. I'm sure a lot of people who are interested in this stuff probably already have that. Here's another one, storming the causeway. Gives you a nice sample map if you want to go ahead and create a your own board. And then here's a few other ones. Battle Beyond the Beaches. This goes further inland. And I just want to showcase this. This is an actual battle. This is an actual game. Some of this stuff looks like it could be photographed from the theater, although it's really, really, really good color. This is, when you look at a historical game, a really well-done historical game, especially a good World War II game, with the terrain that people put out, it just looks like nothing you've ever seen. Nothing like what you see even from some of the best 40K or fantasy Warhammer games. So, again, this is talking about battles in Normandy, but getting further in, they're going to show, again, you can see the different types of ways you can build when you go further inland from Normandy, from the actual invasion, on all of the armies that are involved, including aircraft, rules for artillery and off-table artillery. So, but look at the quality of this book. This is a hardcover book, great binding. And beautiful, beautiful full color, just a sturdy, beautiful, strong, look at this. That's not a picture from World War II. That's a picture, that's a really well modeled and set up battle board with a little bit, I think that's a backdrop over there, but really well painted, just great terrain. That's just one of those things that really stands out when you look at this, when you play a World War II game or any kind of historical game. You know, and at 15 mil, I think you can get bigger battles, bigger tank battles, company level or battalion level. Take a look at that. That's just amazing. All right, so these are the rules. There's certainly rules for engineers and artillery and aircraft. German Panzer Division battle group. So we get a little further in, and there's a appendix in the back, and this is some of your, so it goes over all the different allied equipment and what all the different weapons can do, and armors, and all the charts that you'll need to play. And then, of course, there's the big difference with this system and other systems is this has a morale system. So it's not necessarily a point-based system where you're trying to get victory points. What the game ends when you've basically pummeled your opponent. There's some fast reference sheets in the back, which I would recommend you don't tear out. You can find these online. They're PDFs online, just these sheets that you can print out and use them as a reference. And then here are these tokens in the back, same thing. You can either make some really nice tokens of your own. And again, just gorgeous pictures, great quality, thick, big thick book, 45 bucks. Big thick book. This one I think is 30, maybe 35 as a supplement. There's some places where you can find a group deal where you can get the mini rule book in this, or you can get the Kursk book, which includes the rules, which is just like this source book and this one together, but it's in the Kursk setting, Western Front. And then look out for these other books, Barbarossa, if you're interested in maybe the invasion of Poland, or Africa Corps, which is coming out soon if it hasn't come out already. And I'm sure there's going to be more. There probably will be Pacific stuff. Right now it's all about Europe. But I would love to see more of this. I'd love to see this, actually get into the naval side of it at some point. I don't know where, how much, where the future designs are, but I know these guys are extremely involved with Plastic Soldier Company. I mean, they are absolutely almost hand in hand. As a matter of fact, one of the new source books, I think it might be this book, I think somewhere in the back in the the Reich book, which I haven't really gone through in detail. Yeah, here we go. It has beautiful 2-page color pullout marketing Plastic Soldier Company. I think these guys are like hand in hand together. I don't know if they're the same company or if they're just related, but they just talk about all the different types of model lines they have and stuff that's either coming out or has come out, and where you can order it from. But a lot of the distributors will have it here. There's a lot of local, I have the War Store or Hobby Inc. or wherever. There's a ton of places in the U.S. if you're in the U.S. and you want to order from either Plastic Soldier Company. But if not, again, if you're playing at 20 mil, this scale, 172, the models are a little more complicated. They're not as quick to build as some of these models, but you'll get a high quality model of that scale, and you'll take a little longer to build it, but you'll have probably a little more detail. It's not as much wargaming as quality as you'll see from the smaller scale, but you'll get some absolutely beautiful models. This one hasn't been painted or primed. I'm actually going to be trading or selling this one and a couple other things, because I'm not doing 20 mil. But you get some great stuff at a really reasonable price. So 20 mil is great. You're just going to need bigger board, bigger terrain, and not as compatible with maybe some other game systems. The reason why I like this is because I know a lot of people who play Flames of War maybe have gotten a little bored or a little burnt out with Flames of War, want to try a different type of a system. There's similarities between this system and Flames of War, but maybe they want to try something, and they've got a whole bunch of models, entire companies or battalions of models, maybe multiple armies, and they could just get right into this system. They could just try a new system that has a little bit of a different feel, and it would probably be very natural to move into it. I really, really like this game system. So I'll be reporting on it. I'll be reporting on my progress building stuff, and I'll be reporting on other stuff that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing a little bit of bolt action and a little bit of saga, which is Vikings and Normans and Saxons, little war bands. And I'll also be doing what I've been doing for a while, which is Mordheim, Warhammer Fantasy, and I'll be reporting on a variety of things like Armada, Star Wars Armada, which is coming out from Fantasy Fight Games, as well as 9th edition. I'm going to be doing a whole series of videos, including with some local friends that are looking to create do some blogging and vlogging, and really report on, not only on this stuff, but also on some of the local shows. We're going to be doing some traveling and actually show, where, these games out in the wild, not just us doing it in our local gaming stores or in our basements or our offices, but in the actual events and conventions. We'll try to go out there and see where these are and talk to the people that are either promoting them or maybe even promote them. If Iron Fist Publishing would like for me to promote this game, I would be thrilled to do so because I'm just in love with the system. If anybody from there wants to contact me, I would be happy to run a table or two at some of the local shows and show people just how cool this game is. Because I see it, but I don't see a lot. I mean, it's just overshadowed by some of the other game systems, and I just think this really deserves some table space, some people's time and attention. Take a look at